So the first thing we need to do is approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, James. Second?
Second.
Does anybody have any questions about the agenda? Any discussion? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. The agenda is approved. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes from our last meeting? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 17th, 2024 meeting?
I will move we approve the minutes from the October 17th, 2024 meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion of the minutes?
Well done.
Stellar as always.
All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? Abstain? The minutes are approved. We have no one registered via Zoom to provide public comment and nobody in person to provide public comment.
I'd like to make a public comment.
James?
I want to thank everybody. I've enjoyed this time. And what it says there, what Alyssa says is, this is the end of my second year, so therefore I'm not eligible to renew and go on. But I've had a lot of fun with these. I enjoy having the opportunity to become a nuisance.
We appreciated your nuisance.
Yes, we did. And it's the end of your second term, so you've actually served, how many years is a term? You've served a really long time on this
Yeah.
board. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been here like 4 years.
It feels like longer, but I don't.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's,
But I think you joined about the same time I did, or
yeah.
maybe before.
Then we just found out that we've been in Lacey now for 8 years.
Mhm.
And so I think it was the second, so it'd be about 6 years, I guess. So I guess I've kind of pushed it a little. But I've enjoyed it and this has been really, really enjoyable and fun.
Well, thank you,
So,
James. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We'll move on to our agenda items. First item is to elect a new chair for the board. Is there anyone who would like to have one of us nominate you?
We're down a person.
Down a person.
Yeah.
I turn.
Whose turn is it?
Thank you, Scott.
Mhm.
Somebody want to nominate Scott?
I nominate Scott.
Thank you, Pam. Scott, do you accept the nomination?
I will do that for the year 2025.
Thank you very much. Are there any other nominations? We will close the nominations. Is there a motion to elect Scott as the chair for 2025?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, James. Second,
Second.
any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Scott, congratulations. You will be the chair for this calendar year.
Sweet.
Now we need to
Congratulations and good luck.
open the floor for nominations for vice chair / secretary. The vice chair will perform the chair's function in the absence of the chair and also keeps the minutes.
I guess my question is if Pam wants to continue in that role or pass the baton to someone else.
I'd like to pass the baton. This was the end of year 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm ready to maybe take a little break if somebody else will.
I'm willing to do that since Charlotte, you're just coming off the year as chair. And
I rely heavily on my vice.
I know, I'm signing up for a full-time job.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to nominate Amy for vice chair / secretary?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you,
I'm
James. Is
having fun on this last.
You too. I'll be listening tonight, yeah.
there a second?
I'll say.
Thank you. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There is. Okay, so we have elected Amy Blondin as Vice Chair Secretary for the 2025 calendar year. Thank you, Amy. Sure. Moving along. Blake, I will turn it over to you for the library manager update.
Yeah.
Lots of these.
Thank you. Can I give an, oh. Oh. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
One more.
Oh, you got one?
Like, do I have one more? Thank you.
So we have a new manager coming on board. Her name is Christina Hancock. She starts February 10th. She's coming to us from the Arkansas State Library for the Blind and Print Disabled, which she has directed for the past decade or so. She seems very well thought of in all of her references. 2 interviews, both went really well. We were pretty unanimous in choosing her as the candidate to move forward. So good news on that front, and you'll meet her at the next board meeting.
I just want to thank you for serving as kind of the acting manager. I've seen you out and about at lots of events and meetings and things, so I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Continuing to make Lacey Library.
I really want it to thrive.
Yeah.
So, some other things that have happened, we did have 9 cellular phones stolen from inside the library that were library equipment. We have them as part of a new method we use to track our materials and inventory, and we use them to move things from this location to that within the system. The new system's pretty neat. It tracks where everything is. It tracks whether you need a certain genre or a certain type of material, and if you need that, when it's checked in somewhere else, it'll be routed. If you don't need it, it'll go. There's a storage. We call it the media hotel or service center. It's pretty neat. It's a European thing, and there's a few libraries that use it in the United States. We're the first to use it in a couple of different capacities. So it's been interesting. It's been a lot of work to get used to it, but those phones did go missing. We filed a police report.
So apparently it didn't track the phone. So it tracks everything else.
The only thing it tracks is the last time they were powered on. Or no, the last time they connected to a wireless network. And the last time they connected was at the library, but at odd times. I won't ever know for sure what happened. I don't suspect staff.
Yeah.
So, in addition to the new materials management system, we've had a big shakeup. In Timberland, they've done a huge reorganization across the 5-county district. We're basically losing a few staff as a result of that. Diane Stewart has been with Lacey for at least a dozen years as an operations supervisor, and Raina Sador, who's been there longer than that as the youth services person. And some of you may know Raina, and she's been very embedded in the school system and, all the different schools. And she's done a lot of that work. She does a lot of the big initiatives with Read Around Lacey. She works with the city for Lacey and Tune. Lacey Loves to Read. She's been spearheading all of that stuff. So they're both big losses. Diane, you wouldn't maybe know as much, but she's the institutional backbone of the library and the library assistants. She's been overseeing them for years. So those are big losses. So we'll only have basically 2 supervisors working in the building. That will be Christina, the new manager, and Lisa Heyerdahl, our newer operations supervisor. My own role will be different. I'll be overseeing the librarians who work in Lacey and Olympia, but I won't really be as enmeshed in the Lacey building and doing things like I'm doing now as an assistant manager. So it'll be a different role for me as well. And we had shakeups at the top. Public services manager and deputy director both left in the past month. So deputy director position has kind of been transferred to somebody else. And some other things have been conflated, so we won't have another public services manager to replace the one who is gone.
Are
So
these money saving measures?
they will save money for the most part, yeah. They didn't, and to Timberland's great credit, nobody has been laid off, and there are, as I understand it, I don't know all the details. 2027 is a time when there's going to be some budgetary problems if the budget isn't reduced, and a lot of the budget is salary and benefits. So I understand what's happening, and they're doing their best to try and make it still work while having to wean some of those things. And it's sort of like with an eye to what affects the public the least. Is it fewer materials? Is it fewer staff? Is it a little bit of both? Is it this, that, and the other? We don't do things typically like send people to crazy conferences like we used to, and that sort of thing. It's just not really on the table anymore. So, I mean, we're trying to, stay viable, and I think it looks pretty good. Most of the changes are pretty good. We're doing different things with programming and outreach and trying to be in the community more and having librarians do that more so than do things in the building. That's kind of what the future looks like, at least for a few years. There's a new strategic direction that Timberland has adopted for 2025. The previous one stressed early learning, disadvantaged communities. I should have looked this over. It just occurred to me, but intergenerational programming, and there may have been one other leg to it. The new one focuses less on early learning and more on school age and teens. Also on digital savvy, helping patrons become more savvy with technology. There's another primary leg of it, and I'm forgetting right now. But it's a brand new strategic direction that will be, and we try and tailor our programming and our outreach to things that promote those elements. So we'll be doing that as well. Any questions about any of that?
It's not exactly related to what you talked about, but do you have any information on the potential build of the small study rooms?
I do not.
I was supposed to look into it, and I apologize, I forgot to do that.
Look at what?
Yeah,
Whether the library's been able to move forward with building the small study rooms.
Oh, it's in the budget. I don't know. It's in the 25 budget. I don't
So
know
maybe
what
when
that
the new
means beyond
manager
that.
arrives.
So,
Look at that forward.
yeah. I haven't had much contact with the administration about, that'll be part of the big remodel that's presumably slated for, fourth quarter of 2025.
Okay.
So that would be tied into that. And as far as I know, nothing's changed as far as what's being proposed. So the study rooms would be a part of that. I know they're really, staff want them, patrons want them, everybody wants them. We have a big need, especially now with our increase in programming. The meeting room is becoming less and less available for the public to use. And, the open areas of the library are generally fine, but some people enjoy a little more privacy when they're studying or having a small meeting with, one or two other people. The meeting room's pretty much overkill for that. You've all been in there. It's, it's silly to use it for one or two people. So we look forward to that happening, study rooms. But I assume as soon as the new manager starts, the idea of the remodel will be something she'll be working with our administration on. And we have a new person who's, in fact, Erin, who was briefly an interim manager here in the fall. Her new position, I don't fully understand it yet, but it has she's heavily involved in all these remodels and redesigns and things like that. So, along with Brenda Lane, who's our head of our facilities department, is always also super involved in the remodels, things like that. And there's the usual rundown on here of the programs that we've had. And as I've said, they're pretty much increasing all the time. The number of programs that each librarian and public service specialist is doing is around 20 per month. That's with, 4 of them now that we have, although one's been out on medical leave for all of January and part of December. We also had a toilet seat stolen. Don't ask me why. It was just gone. And the car charger's installed in the parking lot. I did get some feedback in our comment box that, and I'd have to try and recall that possibly one of those slots took away a handicapped parking space, but we still have a couple handicapped spaces on that side over there. So I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. Can't remember in my mind, despite walking by it every day, how many handicapped spots we had over there before the electric charger install.
I don't think they were handicapped because I remember liking those parking spots and using them. And I
Yeah.
went to the library and started pulling to that spot. I was like, oh, I'm not driving electric. I can't park
Yeah,
there
right.
anymore. So I couldn't have parked there if it was a handicap spot.
Oh, I
think
know.
it
It's
was.
at least the very far one. I know it wasn't a handicap spot. The
Yeah, I
one
think
next
it
to that, I
was.
can't remember. But you may be right. I think somebody might just be mistaken in thinking that reduced the number of handicap spots.
It would seem unlikely that they would take away a handicap spot.
I think so, because they get used. I mean, they get used a lot. these
Yeah.
Spots.
Hey, Blake, what is the Read to Cats program?
Okay.
Intrigued.
Unfortunately, it's on up hiatus right now because of the staff who was doing it who wasn't able to continue it at the moment. There's a place called it's called Pacific
Yeah,
Cafe Pacific.
Yeah.
So staff would go there. We worked out a deal with the owners of that place where they would go there. Staff would go there and we would use that room, and kids and maybe even adults. I never went to it. We go in the room where you can congregate with the cats, and they would read a book to the cat. And the participants would get like a drink coupon for the cafe, I think.
Yeah, it's a fun place.
Yeah,
They're
I'll bet.
taking some family members there. Yeah, that's a good, I remember reading about that you were going to do that, have, reading things there. So that
Mhm.
good time for kids.
Yeah, I love to see it when staff kind of get creative with their ideas and who to partner up with and where to go. So,
Thank you, Blake.
you're welcome.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I think here. I know you guys aren't explicitly concerned with the Hawks Prairie Library, but I know Amy was there. We had another meeting with the planning committee for the young child and family center in Hawks Prairie, which will incorporate a space for a new Hawks Prairie library.
Okay.
And I think do they break ground in 27 or is it completion?
I think completion.
Completion in 2027, so that's not too far off.
Is this related in any way to the Family Youth Resource Center that the
No.
school district has?
It's a new facility for preschool. It's a district facility for preschool and also like family education and community rooms that can be rented out. But there is going to be a specific designed space for a kid-focused library.
Yeah,
It's gonna be really cool.
Will it replace the current Hawks Prairie or will it supplement the current?
it will replace. Yeah, we barely have the staff to staff the current, the one, because we have to send people from Lacey, who would otherwise be working next door up to the Hawks Prairie branch. West Olympia is the same way with the Olympia branch, the one in the mall. So yeah, it would be a replacement, and I think the lease will be up there in the strip mall, and then we'll maybe there's a month-to-month option until we can fully move in to the young child and family center.
And that's on the same campus as Nisqually Middle School across from.
Oh,
okay.
Well, that used to be a sports field
It
or
used to be
something.
Bucknell.
Bucknell,
Field.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
It'll be a great location, so close to those other things and the
Yeah.
back right there. Yeah.
Program there. So yeah, it'll be cool.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is bylaw review, regular meeting. So I am sure you have all noticed that we didn't have a December meeting and we didn't have our January meeting when we originally wanted to have it. And that was because of scheduling conflicts with the meeting room. And if you look at the standard dates for some of the other boards and commissions when they meet, there is always going to be a conflict going forward. So it's been suggested that we amend Article 4, Section 1, regular meetings. And did everybody get the page that shows? I
thought you were like,
I think when did you send it out, Alyssa? Thank you. So do we meet the 10-day requirement to take a vote on it tonight?
You need the requirement, yeah, just because it has been before.
And we
The
have
calendar
one.
to them.
Okay, so what Article 4 currently says? Give me just a minute too. It currently says that regular meetings shall be held on the second Wednesday of each month at 5:30 p.m. There shall be at least 4 regular meetings per year. A consensus of the board shall determine the date of each regular meeting. Additional meetings shall be determined at the pleasure of the board. What the city staff are recommending is that we move to Thursdays and that we set our calendar for the year ahead of time. Now, if we need to change the calendar after we set it, that's possible. But setting it in advance allows us to get on the schedule. It also allows us to extend invitations to speakers with more flexibility in their schedule. If some of you remember, the city manager used to come and talk to us every year and give us a state of the city address. We haven't had that for a while, and it's been hard to schedule because we select our next date at our at our current meeting. So if we were to set a schedule for the whole year, we could eliminate some of that difficulty. So there are 3 options. The first one, which is recommended by the city staff, the board will meet on the 3rd Thursday of January, April, July, and October at 5:30 p.m. When a regular meeting falls on the legal holiday, the board will meet on the following day or is scheduled by the board. Meetings may be canceled when necessary. Okay, so that puts us 1 meeting in every quarter, and it gives us a date. Does anybody have conflicts with 3rd Thursdays?
Adjusted it to be June, July, and that was what I wrote. So depending on when you printed. See what was published.
Published was July.
Yeah, it says July.
Okay, well then that was, did not reflect our update that we discussed, so that is.
And we wanted to do it in June so that,
It provided more time for the budget.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Okay, let's switch that to June. January, April, June, and October. Option B would be to amend what's currently in the bylaws to say the board will meet on the 3rd Thursday of the month on a schedule determined by the board each year. The meetings will be held at 5:30 p.m. with at least 4 regular meetings per year. So that's really close to what we have now. It lacks the benefit of having an advanced schedule so that we can plan and invite guests. Option C. During the first meeting of the year, the board will determine a schedule for each regular meeting. The meetings will be held at 5:30 p.m. with at least 4 regular meetings per year.
Which is kind of what we do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yep. So technically, we should have a motion before we discuss, but does anybody have a preference for A, B, or C? And if you need me to read them again, I will.
I feel like unless there's a compelling reason not to, I prefer to go with what city staff recommend, just because they know best how to work us into the schedule. So yeah, that would be fine.
Any support for option B or C? Okay. Would there be a library rep available on the 3rd Thursday?
Should be, yeah. I mean, the
Okay.
manager,
She
Okay.
hasn't even started, so we'll just.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what
I mean,
it said.
she'll definitely be scheduled to work on Thursdays, so.
So because this was in the packet that was published 10 days in advance, we meet the requirement to be able to vote on it tonight. So is there a motion to amend Article 4, Section 1, regular meetings, to option A as provided by the board? I'll give you the verbiage, with the exception I'm going to make it June instead of July.
Also move.
Yeah. I think I heard Amy speak up just a little bit before you, Jane.
Yeah. I'll second it.
No.
Stealing your thunder at your last meeting. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
Any discussion?
So that would be Thursdays at 5:30.
Yes,
I'll second it.
thank you. I wouldn't have asked for discussion if you hadn't always seconded.
I'm seconding the second.
Just out of curiosity, it says meetings may be canceled when necessary. Does that mean we would need to reschedule them to meet, or do we not have are we getting rid of the at least 4 meetings a year requirement in our?
That
bylaws?
is not my understanding.
By amending it, you're
Yeah.
being rid of the 4 meetings per year as required,
Yeah.
but still maintaining that there are at least 4 meetings here.
Yeah.
But if there's nothing to report out on or any material to discuss, then ultimately you could deem it not appropriate to hold a meeting.
Okay. Makes sense.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. Thank you too.
Can I ask another question about the bylaws?
Yeah,
Sorry, there's a couple places in the bylaws that it mentions a president. We don't have a president. We have a chair. I'm wondering if we can at some point make friendly amendments to section 5 and let's see. Article 4, section 5, Article 5, section 1.
And Charlotte and I touched on this. There's a lot of areas in the bylaws, including that probably need to be updated and evolve in their current practice.
Yeah, I was.
So that is something that is on our radar. It's a lot more of a comprehensive review with additional stakeholders and considering kind of we've updated our advisory board handbooks and looking at what some of our newer advisory boards have adopted to kind of bring the library board
Yeah.
into that fold a little bit. So yeah, up and coming, but yeah, I think we'll have some more direction here in the future.
Okay.
On that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
so I think that is something that we'll be able to plan for.
Well, I was thinking we'd have a special committee and
I think I could do that for you.
Glad I'm quitting.
It's gonna be too much work.
This was when I came onto the board, Helen Spalding pushing
yeah.
to have a comprehensive revision of the bylaws. I didn't understand at the time why she wanted it, but
So does that make the next thing moot?
When I think to that point, I do have a list of the actual dates.
Okay.
Because of what was passed for our future meetings that we can confirm, just so that
Okay.
that can get reflected into the record.
so what are those dates?
So moving forward, the third Thursday of April is April 17th. Then it would be June 19th, which does fall on a holiday. So I recommend that maybe at the April meeting, the board takes a decision on whether or not to reschedule to the following day or a different meeting date entirely. So that's something that we can prepare for. And then October 16th. And that would set the 2025 meeting calendar and then start back over in January. 2026.
So the next item on the agenda has already been partially addressed, but I want to formally thank James for his service on this board. You have kept us on our toes, James. Your unique perspectives have brought up things that I know I would have missed. So I really appreciate your take on things. And correct me if I'm
Like I
wrong.
said, I have fun with this.
I'm glad you did. Also, there's going to be a certificate of appreciation for James forthcoming.
There will be a forthcoming Foot Service Award. You've completed 2 full consecutive terms, so that makes you eligible. I will reach out for at a council meeting, a recognition for your public service in the library board, and then we can extend that date once it's due.
Heck with you back.
Well, my wife and I sat down and worked it out. We've been married for 49 years. We've moved 23 times.
Oh, my goodness.
Lord,
So we are having fun
you're done.
being our 8th year in Lacey.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We normally have existed for 9 months to 2 years.
Wow.
And otherwise we kept on the road. So we've been in every state west of the Mississippi except for Utah, Colorado, and Arkansas. And we've been in 4 eastern of the Mississippi and 4 foreign countries.
It's a full
So
life.
I'm really, like I say, I have enjoyed this very much. So,
I know that Avni is under a time constraint this evening, so I wanted to check with you and see if you had anything that you wanted to discuss.
I did have a question about sources for teens, because I know that for AP students, we need textbooks, and those textbooks are usually really expensive. And I was wondering if the library has any newer versions of the textbooks.
Typically not. As you said, they're expensive. There's new editions all the time, because that's a moneymaker for the publishers. It would be difficult for us to afford that and to keep up, year to year. Now, we can borrow things from other library systems on interlibrary loan for individuals, including textbooks if somebody's willing to lend them, if a library somewhere is willing to lend them. However, those items need to be at least a year past publication. So sometimes that's a difficulty with the textbook if it's a very new edition that you need. But it could be worth looking into to see if it can be borrowed from another library system, because we don't really purchase textbooks at all. Just not a part of the public library mission. We would anticipate that a school library, or if it's a college text, that a college library would be the institutions that are purchasing those. But you're not wrong; they're very expensive, and I assume you're buying what are basically college textbooks for the AP classes. Yeah, and I don't know if in that scenario you might lose out on a student discount because you're not really a student at, say, the community college. Does it work that way?
Well, we just try to find the closest textbook related to the AP course.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we purchase it. The high schools do have textbooks related to the curriculum, but they don't have the actual AP College Board textbooks.
Are there digital copies?
There are digital copies, but sometimes you need to pay for them.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if that is a question that should also be brought up at the school board. Why is the school, the district not providing that?
Yeah.
Have you had an opportunity to ask it there?
I just use whatever there is. So
And you're taking class at the college or at the high school?
at high school.
At high school, and it's interesting that they don't provide the textbook for new people.
They do give us, for calculus, they give us the AP textbooks to borrow sometimes. But I mean, to own a copy or to take home and stuff. Sometimes it's difficult for some specific classes. So I was just wondering if there was a way to.
Outside of trying to borrow from another library system, I mean, and if the book's long enough past publication, it's a possibility. You could always inquire about that. You can go,
so she would come in and make an application to you to borrow from one of the other libraries, or make an inquisition as whether or not you could.
but you could do it online as well. if you go to our website and there's tabs at the top and there's a tab that says browse and you open that up and then there's on the far right, there's a column that says ask, suggest, request. And one of the menu items under there is interlibrary loan. You would go to that, open up, log in with your library card number and your PIN. And then there's a form that comes up and you would fill it out with the title you want. It'll auto-populate your information from your library card, fill it out with the title you want. For something like a textbook, I would definitely also put in an edition number or year. And then you just,
And with that, how does she end up with it? Or does she have to then go to that library?
no, they
Yep.
mail it to us.
You,
Uh,
okay,
Yeah, they'll mail it to us, or if there's also, I think, a van route that goes in like Western Washington and Oregon. But yeah, they would send it to us and then would come in and we'd notify you just like any other book hold that would come in. You can go if you want. There's a website called WorldCat and it searches libraries worldwide. And once you find the title you want, you can even look and see which libraries have it. It'll give you, it's not always super up to date and accurate, but it'll presumably give you a list of what libraries hold that title
And how far away they are.
worldwide. Yeah.
But then you're limited to a checkout period.
Yeah, you're limited to 3 weeks. Yeah. Basically.
And can a Northwestern Public Schools student check this out on a MyTRL card, or does it have to be a regular library card?
It would need to be a regular library card. The MyTRL cards are just internet, digital resource stuff. Yeah. But
Thank
you can easily get a card. I mean,
Did you have more questions? Is there anything else for the good of the order? Then this meeting is adjourned at 6:07 PM. And if anybody can stay around, I would love to go around the table and talk about what we're reading.